to discuss the technological transformation of our economy is President and CEO of Siemens USA, Barbara Humpton. The Messenger's AI business reporter, Jackie Snow, is back on stage to moderate this conversation.
Hello, everyone, and hi, Barbara. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm really excited to talk about this topic because I think when we talk about AI, a lot of it's very much like software focused, like helping software engineers or writing, but what you guys are doing with Siemens in the industrial use cases, I think we're going to start to see become a lot more prevalent. And I was hoping to start off with hearing you describe industrial AI and what that is currently.
Yes. Let's talk about the real world. Siemens, we're in our 176th year, and we're a company that has transformed the everyday for everyone, living at that edge where the real world meets the digital world. So if you think about industry and infrastructure, if you think about transportation, these are all real world things that today can be transformed via digital tools. And so what we've been working on is how to bring the really cool technology that's entered our lives in the Internet of People over the last few decades, now applying it to the Internet of Things, which is orders of magnitude bigger than the Internet of People. This is the front end of a really exciting time. So you may have seen in the news in the last couple of weeks, Siemens and Microsoft announced the Siemens Industrial Copilot, an AI-powered capability that really puts AI into the hands of people interacting with industrial machinery. Up until now, maybe one of the most useful tools and technologies in large-scale manufacturing was the bicycle. And you go, what? A bicycle? Yeah, because people had to actually get around a factory and program the controls everywhere across a production line. Now, with the combination of industrial AI giving us the ability to program more easily through natural language interfaces, and now bringing that to the edge with cloud-enabled devices, we can actually bring a whole revolution to the way we're managing the industrial floor.
Yeah, can you talk to me a little bit about what we're already seeing, beyond the bicycle with AI in some manufacturing settings?
Yeah, so think about a couple of trends that are happening right now in manufacturing. One is a very simple one, glocalization. Right? Glocalization. We used to feel like the way our supply chain ought to be tuned is to get to the lowest point of labor, find the lowest possible cost of supply, go to that single source, and then have that be our production point for the entire world. Then disruption hit. And so we now are asking ourselves the question, wait, could we actually distribute manufacturing? And the answer to that is yes. The second thing that's happening though, because we have this new capability, if you get beyond the bicycle and can now make your manufacturing floor more responsive, more agile, reprogrammable in the moment, you can go from mass production to mass customization. And that's the superpower of the future. When you and I get to decide, what is that thing we want? What do we want it to look like? And let's make lot size 1, my Grandma Barb shoes that I love to wear, that nobody else is gonna wanna wear.
Can you talk a little bit about where the American workforce is, in terms of reskilling or being prepared for the type of change that AI on the manufacturing floor will bring?
Yeah, so listen, I've heard a lot of people talk about, hey Barb, tell us how Siemens sees the future, and I use this simple little phrase, it's more electric, it's more connected, it's more autonomous. And when I say autonomous, people go, doesn't that mean job destruction? And the practical answer is we don't have enough people to do the jobs that need to be done as it is. We need automation to elevate the role of people everywhere. Now, here's the really cool thing that's happening, and I love the question from Senator Cassidy's office. What do we have to do differently? And I've got two answers for you. One is all of these technologists who are talking, Siemens included, what we've got to do is democratize the technology that we're building. And one of the things we're focused on is how do we make all of our user interfaces more intuitive? How could the future of manufacturing feel more like playing a video game? And I tell parents all the time, let your kids play their video games, because this kind of user interface with technology is something that's going to be very helpful to us and is going to translate well into some very scientific fields. But there's something that would be incredible in terms of how do we get more people in from the sidelines, and how do we get companies actually participating in the workforce development that we need. Start thinking about investments in people the same way we think about investments in property, plant, and equipment, for Pete's sake. I love the work of the National Talent Collaborative. If we could get beneficial tax treatment for companies to invest in people and their reskilling, their retraining, man, that would change the dynamic overnight.
Slightly change the topic, but in terms of investing in people, when it comes to the U.S. and the global space of AI competitiveness, how are we doing? Are we, we got you guys helping us out, of course, but where overall, how are we doing in terms of being able to compete with other AI creators?
Well, we know that elsewhere in the world there have been huge investments in AI. We also know that what it takes to be successful in AI is incredible, huge investments. I mean, let's not underestimate the expense of training large models, of having the compute power available. All of that is necessary to advance here. What we've got in the US, though, is this incredible superpower of the private sector being on the commanding heights of the economy, right? This isn't being dictated by government regulation. Government is there enabling a business environment that allows innovators everywhere to step forward and go. That's cool. We also have the brainpower. We've got data. We have all of the ingredients we need. And one of the things I've been seeing just in overall economic trends that are taking place around the world, Siemens is working in 160, 190 countries, that we've got a view into what's happening globally. And what you see in the US is this environment of relative health, relative energy security, and low cost energy. And then, of course, all the brain power of the people who are here. We have all the ingredients it takes to have a leadership position.
I have another question, but if people have their own, maybe start to think about it, we'll have time for one or two questions. With all this new technology being deployed, it opens up, new attack surfaces. And I'm wondering how you think about introducing this new technology, but also being, cognizant that there's cyber threats, both known and unknown, that get added to the situation.
Yeah, and this is what I love about the dynamic conversation that's happening with government and industry today, because we recognize things are moving so fast. There's no way that government alone can keep up with it, and there's no way that industry alone is going to be able to solve the potential problems. So, let me bring this into both AI and cyber. On the AI front, what's interesting about being in the industrial AI space is that typically we're working with more constrained data sets. Things that are more controlled. This isn't open general language. This is very much, it can often be a customer's proprietary data. I like to say to people, instead of data lakes, we're talking data puddles, right? So I think we naturally are working to be in an environment where we can manage and control the effects of the work that we do. The second thing, though, I'll share is that we've long been believers in responsible tech. Years ago, Siemens created the Charter of Trust, partnering with other tech companies to come up with principles of cyber self-governance that we would propose that others sign on to. And that charter gives us 10 principles that keep us grounded in the practices that put us on the forefront of protecting the critical and precious infrastructure that we're part of. Now, I'll say one more thing, which is I was thrilled when the White House called several months ago and asked that Siemens join the NSTAC, the National Security Telecommunications Advisory Committee. We've had the telecom sector and the IT sector well represented. And for the first time, operational technology has been invited to the table. So I'm proud to bring our voice into the dialogue and, again, to be a responsible citizen helping to drive the future direction.
Okay, great. Does anyone have any questions for Barbara?
There's a question here, what do you worry about, Barb? Right now, I'm worrying about keeping up. Some of you may know that Siemens actually delivers critical electrical products that enable data centers to function properly. And right now, data center expansion is exponential. That requires power from the grid. And the question is, do we have the capacity to make sure that Siemens is not the bottleneck in the expansion that we know is transforming our economy and is going to make everyone's lives better? I see a question from Senator Cassidy's office.
Yeah. Hi. You know who I am. So I see a lot of companies that are putting out principles and frameworks and all of this for responsible AI. And it takes me back to, the trust and safety when social media companies were a little bit under pressure and they built trust and safety teams. But when things got a little ugly last year, all those teams were disbanded, and responsible AI teams right now are being disbanded and then hired back again. So what suggestions do you have to make sure that companies see this responsible AI function as a business imperative and not as a DEI or HR issue that will be the first one to go when things get a little ugly?
Great question.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about bedrock. Right? There are a lot of people who are confused today about the principles that over the long term lead to strong business results. And I will tell you that Siemens is one of the companies, we've created a framework we call DEGREE that captures the essence of our framework on ethics and governance. It deals with sustainability. It deals with equity. Why do we talk about these things? We talk about them as the bedrock of business and the necessary foundation for future business success. I believe shareholders, as well as other stakeholders everywhere, can see that direct line from responsibility to profitability. And that is going to be the pressure. Those who are taking their eye off their ball right now because they're being pressured by something in society, whether it's the profitability race, it is possible to totally miss the play. And I fear that some of those companies are going to have a misstep and maybe won't be here to carry us into the future. Our intention is that Siemens will be here grounded in the principles that we know work over the long haul.
Great. Well, that is all our time. Barbara, thank you so much for being with us today.
Jackie, thank you.